French Canadians have a sordid history when it comes to separatist movements, so it's no surprise that J.F. Gariépy wants to lead the alt-right into the woods like the Pied Piper to start his own Ethnostate. Maybe it's genetic or something, I don't know. But JF was on the Drunken Peasants podcast recently, debating the idea of ethnostates with some internet random, and I couldn't help but point out the flaws and barely hidden agendas that were in his ideas.
If people get replaced, it is a mass extinction, whether you want to call it that way or not. People who think like you and who act upon policies of the kind that you suggest here will eventually get replaced by other people who don't think like you. People who think that defending their territory, their nation state is important, and protecting the existence of their line of descent is something important. You advocate for endless migration waves. As long as your country is interesting to people outside, you will leave open borders and you'll get replaced by people who don't believe the same things as you, by the way, and who eventually will form a nation state where your descendants could have lived, but they won't because they will be outbred.
Now, JF is making a whole lot of presuppositions here. If you've seen any of JF's other shit, he is primarily concerned that Muslim immigrants will come over in droves and convert our society and force us to enact Sharia law. But all signs point to the fact that we're the ones doing the fucking converting. Most Muslims who become Americans adopt Western values. As Kyle points out...
So if you look at a recent Pew study based off of tolerance and values of Islamic populations in the United States, they were more accepting than evangelical populations.
Sure, there are some hardcore Islamists that won't fully adopt our ways, but guess what? Their kids will. Islam might be the fastest growing religion, but religion itself is steadily shrinking. So that Muslim slice of the pie is getting smaller and smaller with time. Now you compare their shrinkage to our engorgement, and every country secretly wants to be America. That's what the Arab Spring was all about. Our culture is so cool and influential that kids in the Middle East adopted it of their own fucking volition. Now you can find a McDonald's in China, and that's how you win a fucking culture war. That's the free marketplace of ideas on a global scale, although I'm sure espionage played a huge role in that spread.
Tense new beginnings for Tunisia. Its Arab neighbours nervous of how revolutionary feelings could spread.
And this state of things has been brought through an increasingly leftist direction from the voter base. A big part of it coming from minorities who have been shown again and again to vote our country toward the left, to transform this country from what it was, which was a country of liberty, down to the current state.
So JF doesn't want immigrants because they don't vote right-wing like he does. So basically this whole ethnostate thing is just the ultimate gerrymandering scheme. He said several times during the debate that he has no problem with minorities immigrating into the ethnostate if they okay it, and he has no problem with miscegenation within the state. So why does he even call it an ethnostate? It has nothing to do with ethnicity and everything to do with ideology and isolationism. The only connection that he has is this absurd and unfounded idea that somehow white people have an inherent genetic predisposition towards libertarianism. As if babies are born with a pathological political and social ideology.
I think that drugs will largely affect your brain in a negative way. It will make you lazy. People who take drugs are much less good at organizing their thoughts.
Hey, guess what? Carl Sagan smoked pot, and he's infinitely more intelligent and ambitious than you could ever hope to be, JF.
How can you claim that this is an improvement of society? To be for people putting their dicks into the ass of others and bragging about it in a gay pride? Is that what you call better?
Well, first of all, it's not better or worse. Putting a dick in a consenting butt is ethically neutral. All JF is doing here is exposing his homophobia. And as an alleged libertarian, you'd think he'd be against such an arbitrarily puritanism-based stance. I've said it before, but globalization and miscegenation are inevitable. The support of ethnostates are the old way. I hate using this word, but it's literally regressive. Do you really think that the same races and borders that exist today will perpetuate forever? It's only a matter of time before it all becomes one, and those who facilitate that transition and ensure that it's benevolent will be on the right side of history.